All right, we are live and we are talking all things Cloudinary. So, if you're not familiar with Cloudinary, Cloudinary is a wonderful website that lets you manipulate and transform images on the fly using nothing but a URL. So, basically, think of it like Photoshop, where you can resize and colorize and manipulate and transform images from anywhere using certain URL parameters. So in this tutorial, we're going to show you how to craft those URLs. We'll talk about what is Cloudinary and how you can use it in your Glide apps to make your apps come alive, right? So first off, what is Cloudinary? So Cloudinary here is a website that you can create an account for free. They have a really, really robust freemium package here. I do not pay for Cloudinary. I have never paid a single cent to Cloudinary, but it gives me a really nice bank of usages within Cloudinary to be able to transform all of my media. So first, how I learned with Cloudinary is by going to their website, creating an account, and then just uploading a bunch of images into Cloudinary itself, and then taking a look at how to craft different URLs using the Cloudinary's built-in editor. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into, let's see, this is a decent image here. And if I tap on this image and hit transform, or if I double click on it, I think, yeah, double click on it and then hit transform, we get taken to Cloudinary's built-in editor. And you have some basic things here like being able to change the width and the height and the format and so forth. But you also have this bank of effects that you can use, right? You can change, this is kind of reminiscent of Photoshop, where you can recolor or add drop shadow or tint, so you have all these different effects that you can add. And when you add these effects, you'll see that the output URL for this image changes based upon what you had selected. So, for example, if I want to desaturate this image and make it grayscale, right? I believe under the effect, we have a grayscale. And by selecting it, we see that our URL got changed by adding this e_grayscale parameter within the URL. If I refresh my preview, we now see that this image is grayscale, right? So you can see that we can manipulate this image just by adding some text within the URL. What's nice about Cloudinary is that you can string together multiple transformations. So we see at the bottom here, we can chain another transformation. So by selecting this, I get that same editor underneath it, and I can add a different effect. So maybe I want to blur, right? And then you can also change the amount that we're blurring up to all the way to like 10,000, I think. We'll just do halfway. And we see that after e grayscale now comes a /, then e_blur, colon, followed by the value of how much we're blurring, followed by a / and then the original image, right? I refresh my preview and we see that I have a blurry grayscale image, right? So I didn't have to open up Photoshop. I didn't have to input this and do this and then save it and then resave that somewhere else, right? No, I'm using my original image and I'm using Cloudinary's parameters to manipulate that image. All right, so how can we make this useful in Glide? All right, so the very first thing is I'm going to come over here to my Glide app, and I just started a brand new Glide app. I mean, it still has like all the default images and so forth in here. And the very first thing we have to do if we want to manipulate these images is to run them through Cloudinary. So I'm going to show you the schema here, and actually I have this built into my keyboard shortcuts for Mac because I use it so often. It's a lot to type, so I just have it saved as one of my MacBook shortcuts. I'm going to hit add a new column, and I'm going to create a template column here, and we'll call this Cloud Image for Cloudinary Image. And the template is as follows. It's going to be https:/. Okay. Then we have res for, I think it's, no, I don't know what res stands for, but res.cloudinary.com / then your username. So when you create a Cloudinary account, that you can set a username. You put in your username here. You can also use glides, so I can just do / glide. The pros and cons to that. Now, if you use / glide, that means that all of the images will be saved on Glide's server. So if you don't need to have access to them, feel free to just use glides. But if you want to definitely own the images that are being created, especially for GPDR compliance and so forth, you'll want to use your own account name here. Okay, so / username / now we're dealing with images, so we'll say / image. Cloudinary also has video editing, but it only works for videos that you have uploaded, right? So I could come over here to Cloudinary and upload a video and manipulate and crop and flip and things like that with the videos as well, which is kind of neat. But we're dealing with images / and then we're going to choose either upload or fetch. So upload means images that you have uploaded to your own Cloudinary account. Fetch means we're grabbing that image from some other website. 99 times out of 100 I'm using fetch because I typically don't upload the images to my Cloudinary account ahead of time. I just use whatever's inside of I'm just pulling the image from someplace else. All right, so I'll say fetch / and then the image that we want to run through Cloudinary. So typically I use some sort of variable. I usually use an @. Pick whatever you want. And I replace that @ with the URL of the picture. Okay, done. All right, so when I expand this image, or this URL, you see that I have my format, res.cloudinary.com / username / image / fetch / and then the image URL here. Okay, now this is just going to output the exact same image as this original picture. So if I were to copy this URL and open up a new tab and paste, we see that I get the exact same image, exact same resolution, nothing about it has changed. All right, but here is where we can start manipulating the image to get it how we want. So any parameters that you want to add into the URL to manipulate the image is going to come between the word fetch and the URL for your image. All right, so let's say I wanted to make this image opaque, right? Cloudinary, you can go to Cloudinary's documentation and read all about how to make it opaque. It's actually really easy. It's just O for opaque _ and then how opaque you want to make the image. So if you want 50% opacity, you just say 50 / All right, so I'm adding those parameters in between the word fetch and the URL for the image. All right, so when I hit enter, we should see that our image fades out. There we go. Okay, so now let's say I want it to fade out and be grayscale. So I can string multiple transformations together by using a comma. So I could say O _ 50, comma, and then the other parameters. So I could say E _ grayscale. These are ones, again, that I found just by going into the editor and just playing around here, right? So here was opacity. Right, we see it added the, this is, I guess, threshold. There should have been an easier one somewhere in there. I think I missed it, but is it transparency? Probably not. I don't know. But anyway, we see the E grayscale. And so coming back over here, over here, if I were to add in E grayscale and then enter, we should get a faded out gray image. There we go. Okay. We can make it really opaque by decreasing the opacity even more. All right, make it really faded out. And so these are ways that we can manipulate the images on the fly in Glide. All right, so what are some use cases here? So maybe we want to make our images fade out based on the level of quantity we have left or something, right? So you can make these conditional. So if I come over here to cloud image, I could say something like cloud image opaque or O50, just because we're keeping things consistent. So here again, between fetch and our image, we'll add in our parameter, in this case O20. Done. Right, and then we can set a threshold, right? So I can add an if then else column, and I'll call this if image. And in this if then else, I'll choose one image or the other based upon my condition. So we could say something like if the quantity is less than or equal to 20, right? That means we're getting low, and we need to, and we're going to show the faded out image. Okay. Otherwise, we'll show the actual image. Right. So we see that this one image here has a value of 17, which is why it's showing the grayed out image. But otherwise, we're going to show the actual image. Done. And so now when I come over here to my app, instead of displaying the actual image, we'll display the if image, and watch how one of them gets grayed out. See how it gets faded out there? And this is even more apparent. We go like tiles. Right? Something like that. All right, what if we want instead to show the image to be colorized one way or another? Right, maybe we want the image to be green or red based on the quantity. All right, so instead of it being my if then else being first, what we're going to do is we're going to create an if then else to display a color. So I'm going to do if then else, and we're going to say if the quantity is less than 100, then it's danger red. Else it's good green. And these can actually be hex codes as well. Okay, we'll call this if color. All right, and then in our cloud image, maybe instead now, let's actually delete the if image. So in our cloud image, we're gonna colorize this image based on the color that gets displayed that's based off the quantity. All right, so instead of O20 here, I happen to know that colorizing things is just E underscore colorize followed by the color. I believe it's, is it CO red? I believe it, let's see, I remember how to do it with, I think it's CO, then the color. So CO underscore, then the color. I'll make it, I don't know, the pound sign here. And so the pound sign is going to be that if color. Done. All right, let's test that out here. So this should give me a green block. Yeah, okay, well, it's completely green because I didn't set a threshold. So colorize right now is at 100%. So we only want it like partially green. So I can do colon, let's say 30. All right, so maybe more than that. 60. There we go. Okay, so we need to set the percentage here. So then I'll just manipulate my image and just add that colon 60 after colorize. Done. And again, I learned all this by playing around with this formatter here. So if I go to colorize, you see I can adjust the value here, and we see that it gives me this colorize colon 74. And then I just happened to learn that in order to colorize something, you do comma CO underscore color. If it's a hex code, you do CO underscore RGB colon and then the color. Just things I learned from documentation. All right, so now we can display this cloud image. So back in this inline list, image, we can do cloud image. We should see green and red images based on the number of quantity, if it's less than 100. Okay, so again, kind of a silly example, but this might get the juices flowing and figure out, okay, how you could leverage this feature for showing displays or alerts or something like that. All right, another practical example of using Cloudinary is by resizing items. Okay, so one of the biggest frustrations that I have, particularly with Glide, here I want to change this image back to the actual image, okay, is let's say I want to display the full image inside of an inline list. Okay, tiles like this, but I want my tile shape to be 3 by 1 because I want to save space. All right, so look at that. So we see here that the image gets cropped, right? Now, what if we don't want the image to be cropped? What if we want to see the entire image, right? So in Cloudinary, what we can do is we can resize this image to fit the boundaries of this box. And we know the boundary of this box has a 3 by 1 ratio. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Cloudinary to craft a 3 by 1 image where the original image is dead center inside of that 3 by 1 box. We can do that with Cloudinary. All right, so let's come back over here again. And for our cloud image here, I'm going to forget the colorizing. Okay, so we're back to just fetch. All right, so to resize images, what we do is we have to adjust the width and the height of the image, right? So I could say something like W for width underscore followed by how big I want it. So if we're going to do a 3 to 1 ratio, that means whatever value we choose needs to be 3 times whatever our height value is. So I could do something like 900 because I know that 1/3 of 900 is 300. That's why I could do height, comma, H underscore 300. Okay, so this will resize the image to be 900 by 300. All right, if I just do that alone, come back over here and display the cloud image, you'll probably notice that not much changes, except for the fact that it tried to fit that image squished inside of that box, right? So yes, now it fits, but now our image is all distorted. So we have to do something with that, right? All right, I'm gonna come back over. So can I just fix it here in the data editor? Yeah, I can just do that. All right, so instead of just 900 by 300, we have to also play with the cropping. And Cloudinary gives you a variety of ways to crop your images. So I could add cropping by just doing comma, C underscore. So C underscore stands for crop, and then you're going to pick a style for how you want to crop. There are a few different ones. I could do fit. So if I do fit, it's going to look like this. This is the original, right? This is actually what Glide uses. They fit their images inside the container. I could do fill, which is the default for Cloudinary, where again you're going to get that same kind of deal. You can also do scale, which I don't think is going to make much of a difference here. Yeah. Okay. But the one I like to use is C pad. So what this does is that it adds padding around the image in order to make the image fit the container. So if you see pad, we'll see that now our image is dead center inside of our 3 by 1 container. Okay, so yes, this works, but you see that we have this white background now, which is kind of funky, right? So maybe we want to fill in this background with some other color. We can do that. We have here C pad, and then to add a background color, we just do comma, B underscore, and then whatever color you want. So I believe we can just do, if we want red, we just do B underscore red. That should give us a red background. Okay, so again, we could make this more dynamic. So we could use that same if color here. So I could do b underscore pound sign hashtag, where hashtag stands for that if color. So now I should get red or green based upon the numbers. Right. So again, kind of a silly example, but again, you can see how you can start manipulating your images to fit the containers so the whole image shows up within an inline list, right? One thing I like to do is actually use the entire image, but blur it out inside of the container here. So in order to do that, we're actually going to create overlays. You can overlay images on top of one another in Cloudinary as well. And to do so, you have to find one image and then overlay a second image. In our case, we're going to overlay the same image on top of itself, right? But to make it look pretty, maybe we'll blur out this image in the background and then display this image as the overlay. Okay. All right, so in order to add overlay images that are fetched, so fetched overlay images, we have to grab the base 64 version of the image. It sounds scary, but actually Glide makes it really easy now. We can actually convert this URL into base 64 using an encode column. So in Glide, I can call this base 64 image, and the column type will be an encode text. And we're going to encode the image, the picture here, into base 64. By default, it already is base 64, but if I want to be redundant, I can say base 64. All right, so this is my base 64 version of the image, and this is what I'm going to overlay on top of this cloud image. All right, so let's create a new cloud image now. So I want to, I'm going to scrap all this. All right, so the very first thing, well, actually, no, I want to keep that. All right, so the very first thing I want to do is blur out the original picture. So right after fetch, we're going to use our E blur and blur it out 1,000 with a value of 1,000. Okay. /. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to set the let's set the width and height of that original image as well. So we're going to say whatever, we know this is a square image here. Okay, so we're going to resize this square image to be something specific. We'll say, we'll keep it at 1,000. So we'll say width 1,000 and height 1,000. Okay. All right, next what we're going to do is overlay a square version of this image on top of the blur. So to overlay images, we use L for overlay underscore. And then if the image is already uploaded to Cloudinary, you can use the image ID. But if it's fetched, that's where you're going to grab the base 64. So I'm going to say L underscore fetch, because I'm fetching, colon, then the base 64. I'll use the %. Well, no, let's see. I'll just do B64 all capitalized for base 64, and I'll replace base 64 with base 64 image. All right, so I'm going to fetch that base 64. I'm going to throw it on top, and then I'm going to resize this overlay so that it fits within the constraint of the 1,000 image. So if we want to add some padding around it, that means our image has got to be smaller than 1,000 pixels. So we'll just say 850. Let's see what that looks like. And we already know it's square, so we're going to say 850 by 850. All right, let's see what that gives us. Done. It's probably still going to be too big for our container, but that's okay. Yes, still way too big for our container. Okay, so let's make it much smaller. So let's make it width of 250 by 250. Done. There we go. Okay. So now we see that we have our our image, right, overlaid on top of the original image, but the original image has been blurred out. Right? We can do some more fun things with this. Let's go ahead and make this image pop by making our background blur image darker. There's a variety of ways to do that in Cloudinary, but one way that I like to do it is by adding a black background to the image and then making our image opaque. So that way the black kind of bleeds through. All right, so back in our E-blur 1000, 1000, we're going to keep on going here. And we're going to say 070. Let's make it slightly opaque, but we're going to add a black background. So we're going to say B black. All right, hit done. And that should give us a darker image in the background. And now our image kind of pops on that darker background. We can make it even darker by adjusting the opacity. So I could say like 040 to make it even darker. All right, so now our image, again, kind of pops in that 3x1. Okay, so again, I didn't have to craft this in Photoshop. It was simply just a way to use Cloudinary to manipulate this image on the fly. All right, what else do we want to talk about here in Cloudinary? We talked about fetching images, colorizing, grayscale, opacity, blurring, applying layers. Repositioning. Okay, so maybe we want this image not dead center, but maybe we want it off to the left or off to the right. Right, so we can actually do that as well. In our overlay, we're specifying the width and the height, but we can also specify the position. In Cloudinary, they call that gravity, and it's identified by the G parameter. So I could do comma G for gravity underscore, and then where we want that image to be placed using cardinal directions, northwest, southeast, that kind of thing. So if I want it all the way to the left, I would say G west, like that. If I hit done, we should see that our image goes to the left-hand side, right? And if we want it to the right, we could say east. If we want northwest, I think we could say north underscore west, like that. It should be to the top left corner, which it is, but it's being hidden right now because our image, our blurred image, is actually bigger. So it's actually kind of hidden up here. If I were to make this a square, we should be able to see it. Yeah, it's up there somewhere. Okay, so in that case then, if I wanted to show it kind of in the corner of this 3x1, we could either resize this image. So right now we're making it 1000 by 1000, but we could make it 900 by 300. So 900 by height 300. Right? But then, it's going to stretch it, so we need to adjust the cropping here to do, what was it? Fill? Yeah, like that. Okay, so that's another way to do it. So yeah, so kind of fun. Now, in addition to overlaying images, we can also overlay text. All right, so maybe we want the word opus to be nice and big right over here on top. Yes, Glide allows us to overlay stuff, right, like that. So I could just do that and call it a day. But what if I wanted to overlay something else besides the name and the quantity here? Maybe I wanted to overlay the category, right? I guess I could do stuff down here, but what I'm planning on doing is maybe I want to use a different font, or I want it nice and big, or I want it right aligned right in the center here, right? So I'm going to show you how to do that using Cloudinary. All right, so actually let's go back to the screen. All All right, so with your URL here, if you want to overlay text on top of all of this, I'm going to just keep on going here. So we have our G Northwest / Okay, and now we're going to overlay text. And the format for that is L for overlay _ text, followed by a colon and the font you want to choose. You can use any of the Google fonts. So go to font.google.com and pick one. I'll just choose Arial to make it simple. Colon, followed by the font size. I'll pick 100 for now, but it might need more than that. If you want it bold, you can do colon bold. Maybe it's underscore bold. I might be mistaken, but I'll do colon bold. I might change it in a bit. And then you do underscore followed by the text. So I could do just text here in caps. I'm going to add a replacement where text I'm going to replace with the name. Okay, then you write /. Yeah, done. Let's see what that gives us. Might be nothing because I might have misplaced that bold. All right, maybe bold again. I think it's got to be an underscore in between. Let's try that instead. No, nothing. Did I mess it up? All right, let's get rid of bold altogether. Pretty sure it's underscore. All right, let me double check. All right, so this is often what I'll do. I'll do Cloudinary, like overlay text. It might have been a colon, not an underscore. Let me just verify. So L underscore text. Oh, I did it backwards. So it's all underscores followed by colon and then the text. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, so let's try that again. I did it backwards. All right, so it's L text underscore Arial underscore 100 underscore bold colon then the text. Done. All right, that should give us an overlay. Oh, I need a colon here, not an underscore. L text colon. Done. There we go. Okay. And you see again, it puts it dead center, right? And so because we have this dark background, we want to change the color probably here. So I believe we can just do a comma, CO white to make that color white. There we go. And if we want this right aligned, we'll use gravity. All right, so we can say comma G east. Done. All right, and that puts it right at the edge. We can adjust the padding by adjusting the X coordinate. So you can use X and Y coordinates to nudge it left or right. So I could do something like X underscore -2. Let's see if that works. Yeah, let's make it a bit more. Do -10. Done. Oh, it's pushing the whole image over. It's not what we want. We want just the layer. So I think we have to do FL layer apply. I think that's right. All right, so if you want to apply specific transformations to one of the layers or the last layer, you have to do FL layer apply / or no, comma. I think that's what you have to do. No, that's not what I want. That's doing the whole image. Was I going the wrong way, maybe? Maybe want X10, not X -10. Ah, that's what it was. Okay. Yeah, it's going the wrong way. Okay, so because we had already right aligned it we need a positive number to get it away. All right, so we see it's still right at the edge, so we could give it even more of a margin by x20. There we go. All right, so again, we crafted all of this with a single template column in Glide. All right, other use cases for Cloudinary. Again, we can make things dynamically blurry or make things dynamically gray based upon values, or dynamically green or dynamically red using values. So let's say we have a total quantity. Let's give total quantity here. And let's say all of you started off with 300. Okay, and somewhere down the line, now we have this total left, right? This total remaining. We can use Glide to craft some math columns to get the percentage. So I'm going to add a column to the right. It's going to be a math column. And let's grab the percentage of quantity to total, right? And that's just the quantity divided by the total. And you see it outputs it as a percentage here, right? We can multiply it by 100. And we'll round it like that. Okay, so now that we have a percentage here, now we can do a variety of things that use this percentage in Cloudinary. We know that our image, we can use things like grayscale and blur with that percentage to show how blurry it should be or how grayscale it should be. I believe you can also do zoom and pixelate as well. So let's do some fun stuff with like pixelization. I'm going to craft a brand new Cloudinary column. I'm just going to add a new column here. We'll call this pixelate, and be a template. And again, I told you I had already saved this in my MacBook shortcut, so I can just do res space, and then it gives me the whole shebang already. Where at, again, is our image. All right, so then we can use some fun things like e underscore pixelate colon, and then the value that we want it pixelated. In this case, can be the percentage. So I'll just do %, and we're going to replace that percentage with the percentage of pixelization. Done. Okay, so let's change this image to the pixelate image, and we should see that we have a variety of pixelization of the image based upon the value. Right? So the ones that have the greater numbers are the ones that have the most pixelization. All right? That's kind of fun. Maybe instead of pixelization, maybe you want it to be grayscaled. So again, we can, instead of doing e pixelate, we can do e grayscale, or e. Maybe it's not grayscale. I think it's e saturation, but maybe we'll just do opacity instead. So we'll do /o underscore, and now we have a variety of opacity. Right, so the lower the number, the more opaque it is, or the higher the number, the more colorful it is. Right. You could do colorization in the same way. So we could do e colorize colon, and then the % colorization, followed by the color that we had originally chosen. So CO stands for the if color. Done. And so now we should have red and green, but different levels of red and green based on how much there is, right? So you can see how you can maybe create a heat map or something like that based on how green or how red, different values are. If it's within a certain threshold, maybe it's yellowish, orange, the green and red, and so forth, right? Okay. A common example that I use here with grayscale versus colorizing is when I'm dealing with badging. I often will do something like, hey, if you've earned this badge, then you see it in full color. Otherwise, you see it in grayscale, right? And then once you claim the badge, then suddenly it becomes colorful. So a way that you can do that is, we'll call this opaque, or unearned image, where we'll just set the percentage of opacity. So O underscore, we'll make it really opaque, like 30. And then we'll make it grayscale, like that. Done. And then I have this if image again. Well, actually, first we have to set that condition. So whether or not you've earned the badge. I guess one way to do this would be creating a log. So maybe I'll do maybe it's user specific value, like earned on. So maybe when they earn a badge, we set the date for that badge, right? So maybe I've earned this badge, and I've earned this badge. Okay, and then we can specify a condition on which image we show them based upon that image, right? So I could say if image, and I'll just like if the earned on is empty, meaning they haven't earned it, is empty, then we'll show that grayscale image, the unearned image. Okay, otherwise we'll show the actual image. Done. All right, so then for the image, we'll show the if image. Right, so we've earned this one, and we've earned this one, but we haven't earned the rest of these. Right, but then the moment we go to earn it, so I can like click into this, and we can say earn this badge. Here's the button. We can do a couple of things, right? We can go back a screen, play a sound, but most importantly, we want to set the value of our earned, set column values. We'll set earned on to be the current date and time. And we'll say earned badge. Done. All right, so when we earn this badge, then our image should become colorful. So we should see that this blocko turns full color. There we go, so we've earned that badge. Now let's earn silo, and oval, and so forth, right? So again, a nice cool little way of creating colorful images versus grayscale images, just improving the interaction and interactivity between your app and the users using your app. All right, I'm going to take a quick 10-second break, and we'll come back in just a minute. back. All right, so the last thing here I want to show you is how to adjust your images for your users' avatars, let's say. All right, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to create a few new users, and let's get rid of row owners for our use case here. I'll call this person 1, person 2, person 3. And let's give them some images from Unsplash. Person. Let's pick colorful images that already exist, so that way if we do any sort of black and white stuff, that'll show up. Okay. All right, so instead of things, let's show the users table. Like so. All right. All right, so we can do the same thing here with Cloudinary, where we can manipulate the images in order to get a better end result. For example, look at person 1 and person 2. We can see that their heads are a little cropped, right? We can use Cloudinary to actually center images dynamically based on the subject that's in the image. So I'm going to come over here to data, and let's see, are we still in that sheet things? Oh, I guess we want the things to be the user sheet now. All right, let's come back. Let's recreate that. So inline list. Where is it? Oh. All right. Tiles, square. Fine. Okay, so let's create a new Cloudinary image. Column. Again, you will use template. We'll follow the same schema. We'll call this cloud image. Where at stands for the photo. Okay, so if we want to center, we know that our subjects are people, right? We actually can use a specific gravity called gface. So I'm going to come over here after the underscore and just do gface /. And we should see, hopefully, that person 1 and person 2's faces become centered in the image. Okay, so let's set our image to be cloud image. It's thinking about it. So that one's centered now. Person 2, still cropped. Person 1, still a little cropped. Okay. Let's go back here. G face. Maybe we have to give it a crop as well. So let's do like C scale. I don't think that makes a difference. No. Well, that's supposed to work. I don't know why it doesn't. So it works with glides. It's interesting. All right, so what is glide doing that we're not doing? Let's inspect. So back over here. You can see that glide actually uses, oh, they use G auto? No, it's F auto. C L fill. G face. Oh, G faces, plural. Oh, okay. That would be it. I said G face. I guess it's G faces. Okay, so let's go back to our screen. let's revert that back to center. All right, let's try that again. So maybe so C faces, C fill. Fingers crossed. No. Do I have to do a limit fill? CL fill. Well, Glide is doing something right, and we're not doing it right. What am I missing? Yeah, because when we do this crop behavior in Glide, it actually uses Cloudinary. So we should be able to replicate it. Let's take a look at just this image. So F auto with height, CL fill, G faces. Oh, I see. So it's cropping it square first. Okay. So, yes, it needs to know the width and height of the image so that way it knows how to crop it. Okay. So let's put that back. And then we set the specify width and a height. That's the issue. So we'll say width 300, height 300, because it's a square image here, right? There we go. Okay, so if we were to change this to a 3x1, it should not be centered anymore, right? Or a actually, that's pretty decent. Yeah. Okay. If we want, we can also round out this image. So in our cloud image, we can add how much we want to round. If you want it completely circle, you say round R in this case underscore max. Done. We should get rounded image then. So what's cool about this is then you can add a background. So you could do something like R max, comma, background blue or something. And you'll add a blue background to your images. I think we can also add trim, E-trim, if I'm not mistaken. Trim 20. Oh, that doesn't look right. Yeah, no, that doesn't look right. Maybe we have to add the trim first before rounding it. So let's do... So if you need to specify a specific order as to when things are done, you have to do them in sequence using the forward slashes. So I could do like lfill etrim 20 / then we're going to make it round and blue. Let's see if that makes a difference. It doesn't in this case. Etrim 20. I'm surprised that doesn't work. So what's happening is that it's trimming the actual dimensions of the photo, which is why this one is up and down, because it was an up and down photo. Portrait, this was a landscape photo, which is why it's like that. The other one's like square. But I'm surprised that it's doing the trim like that. Okay, so what if we want to add padding around to make the image smaller? I don't think that's a C pad. because you can't do padding with rounding or with faces. It needs a fill. Yes, I know trim gives you border. Let's see. So this is Cloudinary's cookbook. You can go to cloudinary.com/cookbook, and it gives you kind of some interesting ideas. Remove edges, E-trim, yeah. Maybe E-trim has got to be last, after everything. That's what we did already, though, no? E-trim 20. E-trim 50. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. It's weird. What if we make the image square, then trim it, so make it square and trim it, and then we'll set the gravity and stuff. Ooh. Nope, not quite. Huh. Oh, because we didn't set a crop here. CL scale. No. Yeah, I'm not finding it. Oh well. I'm sure there's a way to add margin somewhere in there. We'll ignore that for now. But you get the idea. Right. So again, if you wanted to fill this with a 3x1 instead, right? Let's say your screen, you're showing it as, the inline list, you're showing it as a 3x1 dimension, and you want that circle to be kind of in the middle there, right? You just adjust your width and height to be 3x1. So we'll set the width to be 900. Oh, wait, no, first you have to set C pad. See, we have to make the image square. Okay, so we want, okay, so we have to do a couple transformations. The first we have to do is set the image to be square, and then R max. Okay. All right, so now we have a square image. Then we add the padding. So this will be width 900, height 300. Well, let's make the width 900 by 900 here. 300 and then C pad. So we're doing two transformations back to back. Done. Oh, where'd it go? That's weird. Width 900, height 300. So now we have a smaller circle image, right? And then from here, we can do background blue. I think those images are kind of stretched, aren't they? So we have to set CL fill here. There we go. And then show the faces. So G faces. Like that. Yeah. So you can create little pretty banners, right? And this is a certain color, but you can actually do images underneath as well. If you want to do an underlay, you can do an underlay of images. I wonder if we can do an underlay of the fetched image. So let's try that. So one thing in Glide, we showed you how to do an overlay using the L underscore fetch. You can do an underlay using U underscore fetch. So let's try converting our image to base 64. So that's the encode. We're going to encode the image. Okay, now instead of doing a blue background, let's see if we can do an underlayment. So we'll say U underscore fetch and then our base 64. All right, so base 64 is base 64 here. All right, let's see if that works. It does. Kind of. All right, so the thing is that our underscore that we've chosen here, because our images are of different sizes, right? It's making that underlayment not standard. So we have to specify how big we want the underlayment as part of our Cloudinary filter as well. So let's see if this works. So we'll have underlayment ufetch b64 is blur it, bblur 1000, and then let's set the height and width. So we're doing with 900, I guess. So we'll say width 900. Done. There we go. All right, so I wonder if we can do G faces here as well. Let's try it. I don't know if this will work. Comma G faces. Thinking about it. Yeah, close. All right, what if we crank up the blur a little bit? Let's say 2000. Yeah, that's not bad. So it kind of gives it a colorful background. And again, we can make things darker again by doing a background black and then giving it some opacity, like 40. Ooh, it went the other way around, I guess, didn't I? Well, light's kind of cool too. I wanted it darker though. Background black. Huh. Well, if I do it background white, I don't expect that to be brighter. Yeah, no. That's weird. Do I have to make that separate transformation? Oh, okay. Oh, but this is the whole thing. I don't want that either. Oh, maybe I just have to specify the dark on the underlayment. FL layer apply. Yeah. So it's probably not grabbing the background being black, it's just making it opaque. So I wonder if we have to make the background black in an earlier step. Maybe I have to make the background black here. No, that doesn't make any sense. Huh, but it worked. All right, so yeah, the background need to be black in an earlier step because then we're manipulating it. Well, look at that, that's kind of cool. And if we want to make it instead, you're like, yeah, maybe I want these pictures to be a little bit bigger. So let's make this picture like 3x2 instead. So instead of 3x1, we'll go 3x2. That still looks fine, but now we want this circle image to be bigger. So we just come back over here again. Instead of saying 900 by 300, we say 900 by 600. And now our image is bigger. Not centered though, is it? Which is interesting. By 600. Maybe we have to make the width and the height 600. Yeah, it's really just got this margin on the top. It's just this one image. The rest of them are fine. Oh, I guess this top one's not either. Huh. Yeah, it should definitely be 900. It's strange. Probably got to do something with the padding here, or the fact that I'm cropping it to the face. No, that should have been. Not sure. Hey, Bruno, how are you? Good to see you. We're playing with Cloudinary here, doing a bunch of fun things. I'm stumped as to why I'm getting this margin in here. I was messing with the underlayment of Cloudinary. And it's getting messy. But yeah, if you have any questions or comments, or you wanted me to re-show you some things, I was doing a variety of things with Cloudinary. I'm actually just wrapping up my stream here, but now that you're here, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. In one of my tutorials, I showed you how you can overlay like one of these images on top of your profile image to kind of show you what rank you have or what badge you've earned and make it part of your actual photo. Kind of like how on Facebook or on Twitter you can add like a badge to your profile photo, that cover art kind of thing. So let's try that. That'd be kind of fun. So we're gonna grab one of these images at random. But maybe in your actual app they've earned an image or earned a rank at some point here. So we're gonna grab one at random. We're gonna call this rand badge. And to grab a random item, we'll just do a single value. and we're going to get a random item from the things picture. Okay, so it's just generating a random image every time here. And let's grab the base 64 of this rand image. So I'm just going to swap the photo to be the rand badge. Okay, and now in our cloud image, let's reset this. Okay, and now we want to display this badge on top of our photo. Okay, now before we do that, one thing you want to keep in mind with Cloudinary is always keep in mind your image dimensions, right? So it's possible that users are uploading their own photos here at different dimensions than what you want it to be. And if this person's image is like 1,000 by 1,000, but this person's image is 250 by 250, right? Well, then when you display this image over a smaller image, it might cover the whole image, whereas this one, it might cover only a corner of it. So we have to first standardize the image that we're bringing in here. And so for our Cloudinary image, the first thing I'm going to do here is standardize it. So again, we've already have our setup here, cloudinary.com/glide/image/fetch. And now we're going to standardize this image. We're going to make it square. So we're going to make it just 9. I like to do it in 3s because a lot of what we do in Glide is like 3 by 1 or 3 by 2 or 4 by 3. So I like to kind of deal with 3s, some denominator of 3, a factor of 3, whatever. So 900 by 900. Okay, and then as we showed you before, if you were to just leave it as such, it's going to stretch the image, and we don't want that. We want to make it square. So we are going to do a CL fill to limit the fill of that item. Okay, done. All right, so now no matter how big the image is, we should have a square image of that person. Okay, and to make the face centered, again, we're going to use our G faces, or gravity faces. Done. So now our faces should be centered. Okay. And now we have the ability to overlay the base 64 image on top of our other image. And again, to do that, we use our L fetch colon, and then the base 64 image of our image that we want to overlay. So I'm going to do base 64. It's going to be capital B in this case, because that's what I chose here. And this will be the base 64 version. Done. And it's probably going to put it just right in the middle. And it's going to cover our image. Okay. So now we have to make our image, our overlaid image, smaller. So we're going to transform it, and we're going to say something smaller than 900 by 900, right? So if this is 900 by 900, we want it to be like in the lower third. Well, then we have to choose, you know, width 300 by height 300. Done. Okay, so that worked for all of them except for my image here. And I think it's because my image was actually smaller than all of the other images. And so my cropping isn't working well for that initial image. Right, this guy here, unfortunately. So what we could do is try to make our images even smaller. I thought there was a way to make it so that it can scale down if need be. Is it limit? I don't think C limit works with faces. I think that's the problem. Let's cut that and see. Yeah, it's still not. Or I want to upscale it. All All right, let's go back to Cloudinary and figure it out. All right, so Cloudinary crop types. Right, detect the face, fine. Banner crop, cool. Okay. Okay, so these are these are the ones we get to deal with. So we have fill without distortion. L fill that scales down the image. Fill crop thumb. Without actually retaining the original aspect ratio. Scale. But only scales up the image for MPAD. So M fit maybe? I think fit like distorts the image. Let's try it though. I don't think that's what we want. Done. So I don't think you can do fit with faces. It's not liking that anyway. Is it CM fit? Did I mess that up? Oh, CM fit, not M fit. CM fit. Okay, so that worked. So it upscaled my image to good, and I kept the image ratio. Cool. So yeah, so I'm just doing a quick Google search. That helped. And let's do faces. Let's see if that works with this. Yeah, sometimes faces doesn't work with certain cropping, I found. There's also a G auto. Again, same thing. I don't think it always works with what we're looking for. So it's okay. We'll get rid of it. We won't worry about the faces at this point. Oh, but you know what? Look. The image we brought in is different too now. Fetch. Let me do fit. Okay, let's do CL fill, comma G faces. But let's make the dimensions smaller. Let's do just 300 by 300. Let's see what we get. Okay. And then let's make our width and height 100 for the overlay. Yeah, even this one's still too big. And that's going to start pixelizing our image because we're making them too small. I don't want to make them any smaller than that. 100 by 100. And then 30 by 30. It's going to start being pixelized. Yeah, it's good. So the end result is what we want, right? This image in the middle looks to be standardized, but now our outside image is pixelated. We don't want that. Okay, so let's try bringing that back up to 900 by 900. Okay. And then cranking this back up to 300 by 300. And then just this person's image doesn't make sense. It must be like a really small image for whatever reason. I know you can also crop like thumbnail, like a C thumb. I don't know if that'll help. But let's try it. One last resort. So C thumb. All right, well, that seemed to do it. So we have a C thumbnail. Okay, cool. And so now with this badge, let's throw it in the bottom left-hand corner, right? So for our badge, what we're gonna do is, we already have it with 300, height 300. Let's round it off. So say R max, done. So now it's rounded badge, right? And let's throw it in the bottom left-hand corner. So to do that, we're going to do gravity southwest, right? And we can give it a little bit of padding by adjusting the X and the Y. So since we've already sent it to the bottom, we said to increase the X and the Y, maybe like 5 pixels each. Let's try what that looks like. So let's say X 5, Y 5. Done. Ooh, not bad. Let's do 15 by 15. Yeah, look at that. Looks great. Right? So now we have like this badge overlaid on top of our profile image. And so now anywhere you want inside of our app, we can display this instead. Now, the only problem with this is if you wanted to display these as circles, it's going to cut off our badge. Like the badge won't be overlaid on top of the circle, unfortunately. So you see if I could go to like circle cropping, see how that kind of crops off our badge. Kind of stinks. But if we wanted to have it where the badge is kind of on top, we just have to make sure we always have a tile shape of square. And if we did want to round, what we could do is we could round out our image first. So back over here where we did the G faces, we can do a comma par max here. And now we should have round on top of round. So it almost looks like it's overlaid. See that? And if we want to give some more dimension to our object, we can actually put a border maybe around our badge here. Is it outline, I think? E outline. And then I wonder what... Okay, so hold on, let's see. Effect outline is E outline. Probably... Okay, so probably this, then the thickness of it. So let's do E outline. Let's try 5 start. And then what color we want. So like color white. Or CO white. Because C stands for crop. CO is color. Okay. I don't think that did anything. Is our outline to be bigger? Let's do outline of 25. Okay. Okay, so yes, there's an outline there, but the outline is to the original image before we cropped it. We want the outline applied to the layer. So I think that's the FL layer apply. FL. Layer apply. Yes, that's what we want. But now we want this in the bottom left, so I don't know why I shifted it back. Maybe the layer apply needs to have this information in it. We'll just kind of reposition some things. Hey, cool. All right, let's make it a little bit smaller because it's like covering up the person's face. So instead of 300 by 300, let's make it 200 by 200. Cool, look at that. That looks great. Okay, so our end result here, just so we can see this, and I'm going to zoom in. So in order to get this effect, right, we have our cloudinary.com/glide/image/fetch. Okay, then we are going to fetch our profile image. We're setting it to a height of 900 by 900 because we're always going to display it in a square, let's say. We're grabbing the thumbnail version, which standardizes the image at a particular ratio, right? And then we're centering it to the face, and then we're rounding it off. So that's why you get this rounded image. All right, then we are layering on top of this image a fetched badge. So this badge is the base 64 using the encode text column, where we're encoding the badge image, and we're specifying the image of that badge to be 200 by 200, and we're also rounding it off. Okay, then we want to apply some effect to this overlay. To do that, we do fl_layer_apply, and we then specify the effects that we want on top of that overlay. In this case, we want to give it a white border, place it in the lower left-hand corner, and then give it some padding of 15 pixels up and 15 pixels over. And the end result looks something like that. All right. So yes, very fun things we can do with Cloudinary. If you have any questions at all, feel free to leave me a comment below, and I'd be happy to get back to you on that. You can also search my channel for additional videos related to Cloudinary. I also will post a couple of posts in the description of this. We'll link out to the Glide forum on some other posts that I've done related to Cloudinary. And if you need me to work on your app, if you want to hire me to build out this functionality for you, I'll also include a link in the description below. So as always, thank you for all your support, and thank you for watching, and hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.